Shalom Alechem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to First Chronicles, chapter 23, in which there are 32 verses, beginning in verse 4. The overseers over the works verses were to set forward the work. Okay, so overseers seems to be like a supervisor. Those who are setting forward the work sounds more like those who are moving the work forward, who are catalysts, people who take care of business, men of action. Scribes versus officers in the same verse. Verse 5, he made versus I made. So we have a narrator in the Septuagint versus David speaking in the first person. Moving to verse 11, reads here, did not multiply sons versus had not many sons. So it seems to be that Joash and Beriah did not have any sons at all. They could have had maybe one son. I can't really fact check this at the moment. So it's either scenario 1, no sons, no children, not even daughters. Scenario 2, they had one son each. Scenario 3, they had children but only daughters, no sons. So that's verse 11, and continuing on, it says, they became only one reckoning, versus therefore they were in one reckoning. So my understanding of this verse is Joash and Beriah counted as one since they had no children. Otherwise you would count their daughters, wouldn't you? Or if they had one son each, then they would be counted as two. They would have mentioned their names as well. Moving ahead to verse 14, it says reckoned versus named. So his sons were recognized to be of the tribe of Levi, or belonging to, versus his sons were named. So they were given the title of being a Levite because they perhaps had no title before. So that is one possibility. In the Masoretic, anyhow. Verse 24, skipping all the way ahead there, it says, the works of service versus the work for the service. So one is describing the actual, what is entailed into the works of service. These are the actions of serving, versus the work is done because of the service. It's for the purpose of the service. Verse 25, our first big difference of this chapter. It says here, David said, Hashem, Elohim of Israel, has given rest to his people. And this is the focus of this verse for our purposes of outlining the differences. And has taken up his abode in Jerusalem forever. Who? Talking about Hashem, Elohim of Israel. He is the one who is taken up his abode, his dwelling place, you could say, in Jerusalem forever. So this will be his dwelling place. This is either, it could be future tense, it could be and will take up his abode because it has not been fulfilled yet, or it could mean he is determined to make this his abode in Jerusalem forever. And in either case, this is designated as his dwelling place. He's selected it out of all the cities, all of the locations on earth. Jerusalem is his dwelling place, not for how long? Forever, eternally. Let's contrast that with the Masoretic text, where it reads, David said, Hashem, Elohim of Israel, has given rest unto his people, that they may dwell in Jerusalem forever. So who's the focus in the Masoretic? The people of Israel. And they will dwell in Jerusalem forever. Did that happen? No, because they were exiled multiple times. So technically they did not dwell in Jerusalem forever. However, if you are one who is examining this verse based on a future perspective that they will dwell there forever, then yes, that could apply. But I hope you can recognize the big difference between these two translations, specifically in verse 25. Verse 26 now. The Levites bore not the tabernacle versus they shall no more carry the tabernacle. So one is describing a narrative that this is what they did or did not do in this case. They did not bear the tabernacle versus a commandment that they should not do this anymore. Verse 28. For he, talking about King David, appointed them, the Levites, versus because their office was. So we see here a contrast that King David appointed the Levites. On the other hand, the Masoretic is saying King David may or perhaps may not have appointed them himself. We simply do not know. It's not clear. It's not made evident. A significant difference as well in this verse, there's an addition of the sons of Aaron. So these Levites from 20 years old and upward were appointed to do what? To wait on Aaron. That's interesting because in the Masoretic it says they are to wait on the sons of Aaron. So which is it? Verse 29, a minor difference. It says a fried cake versus which is fried. But the footnote reads frying pan. So it seems both are wrong. In any case, another difference is the dough that is described in the Septuagint versus the pan. So there is a frying pan, at least according to the footnotes. But there seems to be a special item called a fried cake. That sounds like something delicious to me. And that's all. We're going to wrap it up with that verse. Oh, no, there's still more. My apologies. I thought we were going to end it with fried cake. Okay. Verse 30, it says, in the morning versus every morning. So the Masoretic is stressing the frequency of how often praise and thanks was to be done to Hashem every day. Whereas in the Septuagint, it's not as clear. I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't seem to be as clear. It just says in the morning, and in the evening doesn't specify the frequency of these actions. Yeah, I can't seem to find that. Okay, so that's verse 30. And okay, well, if we connect verse 30 to verse 31, then there seems to be, this could be a stretch, but let's just read it together. So it says they will wait on Aaron, and then it says they'll be over such and such, and then over the works of the service of the house of Elohim, and they're responsible for the showbread, etc., for the fried cake, to stand in the morning to praise and give thanks to Hashem, and so in the evening as well. and over the whole burnt offerings for these days, the Sabbaths, the new moons, the feasts, by number, according to the order, rather, to them. So according to the order of the Levites, I believe. Not that it's the order of the feasts. Could be that as well, but it seems to be the Levites. Continually before Hashem. Okay, so continually. They are to keep the charge of the tabernacle of witness. Okay, there's still more. So that's a continuous difference of witness versus of the congregation. And that's it. Okay, so that's all for this chapter. Thank you very much for your time. Till next time, I bid you all Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Eirini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you, and Maranatha.